Hey there! I'm Haley from the Fetch team. If you're just getting started in Revit, you've probably run into materials and you've probably wondered one of two things. Why does this wall look different in 3D than it does in plan view? And why does changing one material actually change the other one too? Yeah, very normal. Today, we're going to clear that up. We'll go over what materials really are in Revit, how appearance assets work, and what's the right way to apply and manage them without things going sideways later in your project. Let's start simple. Alright, so in Revit, a material is kind of like a container. It's not just a color or a texture like it is in Photoshop. It holds a bunch of information in different tabs. Right here I have a diagram pulled up just so you can see what I'm talking about when I say that a Revit material is like a container. The first thing we have is the Identity tab. This is mostly for text. It helps with your tags, schedules, classification, and it's used when you search in your material browser. Then under it we have the Graphics tab. This controls how the material looks in any view but realistic, like your shaded view. Then we have the Appearance asset. This is where you'll set your textures, reflectivity, images, all the fancy stuff that shows up in realistic views and renderings. Then you have physical and thermal assets. This is really for structural analysis. It's used for heat transfer, insulation values, things like that. So even though they all live in one material, they're all going to serve different purposes. Let's take a look at a common source of confusion. Why does my material look one way in one view and totally different in another? Pretty normal, but here's the deal. Back to this diagram, when you're in a realistic view or doing a rendering, Revit is going to use the appearance asset. And when you're in the regular shaded or hidden line view, like your 2D plan or section, it's actually going to use the graphics tab. So they're two totally separate systems. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how this works inside of Revit. Okay, now that I have Revit open, I have this cube model showing right here. It's in 3D view, but I want two views of this for this example. So let's go to the project browser, right-click on 3D, duplicate view, and click duplicate. Now, I have my copy, but I want them tiled right next to each other. We're going to go to the View tab, hit Tile Views, and then to make sure they're centered in both of their screens, the command is ZA. Let's go ahead and set this left one, 3D copy, to Shaded View, and then the right side to a Realistic View. Now that my tile views are looking good, let's go to the Manage tab and Materials. I already have this red material made, so let's go to the Graphics tab first, change the color, and I want it to be something obvious. Let's do this red color. We'll hit OK, apply and OK. Notice that only the shaded view is changing. Why? Because shaded views are driven by the Graphics tab. That's where Revit's going to pull colors and style for anything that's not using realistic rendering. Let's go back to our Manage tab and Materials, and in that same material, let's go to the Appearance tab. Notice that it's gray. Let's change it to a green. We'll hit OK, apply and OK, and you'll see that the realistic view now updates to green while the shaded stays red. So what's going on here? The realistic view uses the Appearance tab, which controls things like texture, reflectivity, and rendered colors. Meanwhile, the shaded view is still using the flat color from the Graphics tab. And that's the key takeaway. Two different tabs control two different kinds of visuals, and knowing which one to edit depends on what type of view you're working in. Let's talk about the number one mistake that I see when people first start using materials in Revit. You duplicate your material, but you don't duplicate your appearance asset. Let me show you why that's a problem. Right here in Revit, I have my material browser open. It has my red material selected. Let's say I want to make a version that's blue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on the red material, click duplicate, and name it blue. Then I'll change the color to blue. But both my materials changed to blue, and I only wanted my blue material to change. So why did that happen? So when you duplicate your material, it also duplicates the appearance asset of the original. Because both materials are still linked to the same appearance asset, that means everything that they're pulling is from the exact same file source for color, texture, reflectivity, everything. So when you change one, you're changing both. Revit doesn't change them for you. You have to manually tell it to. So whenever you make a change to your duplicated material, like this red color, your original material is also going to change because they're still linked together. Now, if you're using Revit 2023 or later, this is a lot easier. Revit gives you two options to duplicate your material. You can either duplicate just the material itself, or you can duplicate the material and its appearance asset at the same time. Here's what this looks like in Revit 2025. Let me show you real quick. So I have my material browser open with my red material selected. Whenever I right-click, I have two options that come up for duplicating now. Duplicate material and assets, and duplicate using shared assets. The Duplicate Using Shared Assets button is just like hitting the Duplicate button in Revit 2022 or older. So this means it's keeping the same appearance asset, so any change that you make will still affect both materials just like before. And if you're using 2023 or newer, always choose the Duplicate Material and Assets when you're making a new variation. This is going to save you from a lot of surprises later. So if you're working in Revit 22 or earlier, don't worry, I've got you covered. In just a second, I will walk you through exactly how to duplicate materials and create new appearance assets the manual way. If you're working in Revit 2022 or older, here's the right way to duplicate materials and your appearance asset. So right here in Revit, I have the material browser pulled up. I have my red material and it's time to duplicate it. I'll right click and duplicate, change the name to blue, and then before anything else, before I change the color, what we're going to do is in this Appearance tab, you'll see right here in the top left corner, there's a ton of little hands and it has a number by it. That number is indicating and telling us that that's how many materials are sharing this appearance asset. So what we need to do is go over here to the right, and where this icon looks like two pieces of paper stacked on each other, that's the duplicates this asset. When we click this, it separates this new material from the old material. So once I click this Duplicate This Asset button, you'll notice again on the left top corner that where it used to have a number 1 to show that it was sharing that same appearance asset, it now has a 0. So once I click that, I'm able to change this color to the blue that I want. Now that it's changed, you can see that both materials have their respective color next to it. So by clicking Duplicate This Asset, you then have a new separate asset that you can change without affecting the original material. Let's go ahead and recap what's going on inside each tab in the material. The Identity tab, that's mostly our text, classification, and schedules, but it also helps whenever we're looking up something in our material browser. The Graphics tab, this is what controls our non-rendered views, so this will show up in hidden line, shaded, consistent colors, and even our wireframe. The Appearance Asset tab, this is where we're going to set our textures, reflectivity, and images. This is going to show up in all of our realistic views and renderings. Then the physical and thermal assets, this is really for a structural analysis like density, heat transfer, insulation values, things like that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about how you actually apply materials to things in your model. There are 3 main ways to apply them, and I'll walk you through them. So this first method is going to be the best way to apply your materials. You assign a material through the type properties of the object. So you can set your default material for an entire category or subcategory by using object styles. I would say this is pretty underutilized. Not a lot of people take advantage of this method. Each object in the category will be this material unless they have explicitly assigned it to its own material or if it's been painted. All right, I have my model back open in Revit. First things first, I'm going to make sure that I'm in the shaded view for this. So I'm going to go to the Manage tab and go to Object Styles. Right here in this row of casework where it is material, I'm going to click in there and click the 3 little dots. I'm going to go ahead and create a new material. I'll right click and rename that to red. And then because we're in the shaded view, you need to make sure that you're going to change your color in graphics so you can see that it's visible. So I'll change that color to red. And once I hit apply and OK, we'll see that this red material is going to be assigned to all the casework. So I'll hit apply and OK again, and you can see that the entire model has been changed to red. This affects all the instances in this family, so it's super clean and very manageable. This next method for using material parameters, it's great whenever you're building your own families or customizing ones that you've downloaded. Unlike the previous method where we assign the material directly to the category, this approach gives you a little bit more control. Instead of applying that material straight to your object, we're going to connect it to the material parameter. Once we apply it to the material parameter, we're going to assign that parameter to a specific piece of geometry in the model. In this setup, the parameter is what's driving our material, so whenever we change the parameter, the material will update accordingly. It's a cleaner and more flexible way to manage materials, especially in custom families. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is click on this top box of my model. I'm going to go to the family types in the properties panel. And under materials and finishes, you can see that I have a parameter called top material. So how I assign that to my box, let me show you. I'm going to click on that top layer again. And right here where it says material, there's this little rectangle with an equal sign. I'll click on that. And right here, I have my top material parameter. Once I click that and hit OK, that top box is going to be assigned to whatever material that I choose for top material. Okay, I'm going to go back to my family types in the properties panel. Right here where my top material parameter is, it says by category for the value. I'm going to click on the three little dots in the top right corner to bring me back to my material browser. I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to name it blue. I'll go to color and select the blue color. I'll hit apply and OK, and the blue material then is going to be associated to that top material parameter. Once I hit apply and OK, you can see that this will only affect the top box. This shows that the parameter is what's driving the material to the top level. This method's clean, flexible, and super easy to update later whenever you need it. This next method, a lot of people gravitate towards because it's a quick and easy solution. The paint tool lets you apply material to just one face of an object, like the outside of a wall or the top of a countertop. Let me show you how it works. Alright, now that I'm back in Revit, I'm going to go to the Modify tab, and in the Geometry section, the Paint tool is this little circle with an arrow and a cube. I'm going to click on that, and I have my blue paint selected already. So to paint, it's just as easy as clicking on the surface, and your color will show up. Sounds so simple. So what's really the problem here? Here's the issue. Whenever you use the Paint tool, you're bypassing Revit's parameter system. So that means you won't be able to control your material through a type or instance parameter. Your material won't show up correctly in your schedule, and it's nearly impossible to track down later if you're working in a huge project. If you're working on a big project and someone's used paint all over the place, it becomes a guessing game on, was this face painted manually, or is it a part of the object's material definition? Let's say you need to remove your paint. What we're going to do is click out of here, go back to the Modify tab, and then click right next to that paint tool, and there's Remove Paint. It's just as easy. We're going to click on each surface, and it will remove our material. So unless you're really needing a quick visual fix like a presentation or a one-off edit, it's best to avoid the paint tool. Stick to the material assignments through parameters whenever possible. It'll make your model more predictable, more flexible, and way easier for you to manage down the line. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this up with a few of the golden rules. Always duplicate both the material and the appearance asset whenever duplicating a material. Use tiled views, shaded and realistic, to troubleshoot what's controlling when you're stuck. Avoid the paint tool at all costs unless you really need it. Assign materials through parameters for better control, and appearance assets are only for rendering and realistic views. Everything else is going to use the graphics tab. Once you understand how these parts work together, you will save yourself a ton of time and avoid the "why did everything turn gray" moment. Alright, this wraps up our beginner guide to materials and appearance assets in Revit. I hope this helped clear up some of those confusing parts, especially on why materials can look different in different views and how to avoid those sneaky mistakes when sharing assets. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave a comment. If you've got your own questions or want to share tips, I'd love to hear them. And if you're interested in going deeper into rendering workflows, setting up custom material libraries, or anything else Revit related, let me know down below. I'm always open to video ideas to help y'all create smarter. Thanks for watching, happy modeling, and I'll see you guys in the next video.